One Question is designed to give subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences.
Greetings, this is Ty Brown and welcome to One Question, where we highlight executive leaders in college athletics. I'm joined by Craig Fink. Craig is the Senior Associate Athletics Director for Advancement and Chief Revenue Officer at UNC Greensboro. Greetings, Craig. Thanks for joining us today.
Great to be with you, Ty.
Now, Craig, you've been in college athletics for roughly 20 years. 17 of those years you've been in athletic development, so you're well seasoned in that area of athletics. And, of course, you've been there at UNC Greensboro for almost 8 years now. And since you've been there, you've been pretty successful in terms of development and raising funds. You've successfully endowed a position on a baseball team, and there's a number of other things that you've done. What I'd like to know is, how do you and your colleagues there at Greensboro use creativity in your approach to development?
Well, Ty, I want to first start by saying I really appreciate the opportunity to chat with you and be part of the One Question podcast program and shine a light on some of the great things happening at UNC Greensboro. I like to say that anytime things are going well in the development area, then things are going well in a lot of areas. And that is certainly the case with UNCG athletics and our university. And really, for the development operation to get rolling, a number of things have to be in alignment, and two are very important. First, athletics needs to be a clear priority at the institutional level, and our chancellor, Dr. Frank Gilliam, does a great job of making that very clear. Second, you need to have an athletic director committed to growing the development operation, both by allocating appropriate resources and dedicating their time personally to fundraising, and we definitely have that in Kim Record. Those things have created an environment that has allowed us to be very creative and really entrepreneurial in our thinking. And when we started, we really wanted to build a development operation based on relationships and not transactions. And we've tried to make it about more than just wins and losses. And when you really can connect your constituents to your coaches and, more importantly, student athletes, good things happen. So we've been fortunate to double both cash raised and the number of donors to our scholarship fund over the past 7 years. And in terms of specific creative ideas, or at least doing things differently, there are several initiatives we put in place. The first that had big part of our growth has come from is the addition of our team enrichment funds. We just didn't have enough people giving back. In particular, our athletic alumni, and we also saw a big growth area in giving from parents and student athletes. So we created team enrichment funds, which allow people to give directly to our teams. 80% go to the team for the coach to use for their highest priorities that are above and beyond their budget, and 20% goes to our athletic scholarship fund. Next, we added a priority point system and allowed folks to buy back missed years of giving, which was a nice boost for us, and we're really glad we got that in place before our basketball success came, because that's really helped us out. Another was that we started to shift our messaging to help redefine what it means to support UNCG athletics at a leadership level. For instance, instead of making $10,000 gifts for 5 consecutive years to get to $50,000 to start an endowment, we needed people thinking about doing $10,000 a year to the scholarship fund and at least $50,000 outright to start an endowment. And when we laid out the need and how it impacts the lives of our student athletes, people really responded pretty well to that. We also started including what it would take to fully endow in-state and out-of-state scholarships in our messaging. And that actually led to a few planned gifts that ended up being gifts that were among the largest we've ever received. And finally, more recently, we added the ability for people to endow a position on a team, as you mentioned, and the first one was our shortstop spot on the baseball team at $150,000. And I have to credit NAD and all the great collaboration in the industry. You know, a number of these ideas were definitely influenced by colleagues across the country.
Right. And the question I have regarding, you mentioned Kim Record and then some of the ideas you've had, how do these ideas come to fruition? Do you hear about them from colleagues? And you mentioned NAD and other organizations. Does Kim sit down and say, Craig, I heard about this idea? Or do you guys just brainstorm some of them and come up with them on your own?
Yeah, I think it's really a team approach. Our leadership group has been in place for pretty much the entire almost 8 years that I've been at UNC Greensboro now, and Kim has done a great job of creating an environment where this collaboration and creativity flows really well among the group. You can talk to, whether it's the compliance or our marketing or our ticketing guy. Everybody's kind of chiming in with thoughts and about how they can help other units get better. So, over the several initiatives I've mentioned, there's been conversations or brainstorming about all of those that have come from a variety of places, whether that's internally, whether it's going to an ad convention, or it's just Kim and I sitting knocking things around a little bit. But the important thing is having her active participation in those dialogues and in that conversation to allow an idea to move from just talking about it to having the freedom in our fundraising area to actually try some of these things and put them into play and see how they can impact the program.
Right. Well, specifically some of the programs you've created, you just mentioned a number of them. There's one that you and I have talked about in the past, and it involves student athletes. And of course, involving student athletes with development can be a fine line unless you figure out how to do it so it benefits the student athletes in a way that's compliant, right?
Yes.
You have a program which emphasizes to student athletes the importance of philanthropy and giving back to those who have come before you. Can you give us some insight into that program, such as the initial challenges of creating it and the success that you've seen since its implementation?
Yeah, sure, Ty. I'd be happy to. The name of the program is the True Spartan Challenge, and it's been a really strong program for us, and it has created a culture of philanthropy among our current student athletes. For 5 consecutive years now, 100% of our student athletes have made a gift back to the Spartan Club. We also launched an alumni edition 2 years ago, and the number of athletic alumni donors has more than doubled. And we use that 100% fact a lot in our messaging, and I think it has contributed to the growth in our scholarship fund from a donor and cash standpoint, and also has helped us significantly with our donor retention, which is almost 75%. When people hear that all of our student athletes are making a gift every year, it's really hard for them to not make some kind of a gift to our program. And a big part of why the True Spartan Challenge has been so successful, I think, at the core, is that at UNCG we are fiercely committed to the quality of the student athlete experience and making it the best it can be. Kim has stressed that from day one, and our student athletes feel that, and they know that they are valued. So one of the first things we did was to try and get the student athletes to see the Spartan Club as much more than just the group that runs the annual fund. Our Spartan Club staff will go on the road with each team a couple times per year, and our messaging to the student athletes was very intentional from the beginning. The central theme that we share is that it's not just about the 4 years you're here at UNCG, it's about being a Spartan for life. And we also want to let them know that the Spartan Club is a way to connect to our alumni network for mentoring, internships, and hopefully job opportunities. So when we started the True Spartan Challenge, we knew that we would need buy-in from the student athletes. And so we went to the executive committee of our Student Athlete Advisory Council, our SAC, and shared an initial vision, but we really allowed them to help craft the program. So there was a feeling of ownership from the very beginning, and we had some great leaders in that first group, and it made a difference for us. From there, we went to the full SAC and then all student athletes, and the key that really made it go was the team reps. Each team will have a True Spartan Challenge team rep that we usually select from the SAC, and it has become a bit of a special thing now to be selected as a team rep. The role of the team rep is to talk directly to their teammates about the True Spartan Challenge. So they're standing up in front of all their teammates, whether it's after we're there with them, but after practice or after a weight session. And the team reps are actually the ones that collect the gifts from their teammates to turn into the Spartan Club. not only are they getting some great real-life experience that they can add to their resume, but we are also developing our future generation of alumni leaders that can help be connectors to their teammates after they graduate. They can help get people back for alumni events. They can also help with fundraising. There's no required gift level. We really stress the importance of participation at any level. In terms of challenges, we haven't had many. We've been very fortunate, but early on we did have a few student athletes that felt like they were unable to make a gift. So we had other teammates step up and make a gift in their honor. I'd say probably each year out of 220 or so student athletes, we have less than 10 where that is the case. And it really runs itself now. Our co-chairs are always a junior and a senior, so you always have someone in a leadership role that's been through it. And we have an initial meeting to make small tweaks, but the SAC runs it from there. So that's really kind of the broad, quick version of the True Spartan Challenge.
You started 5 years ago, I guess, right? Those alum, the initial people who gave, and even the student athletes who came after that initial group, are they annual contributors now, or what kind of culture has that created with the young alumni?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. A lot of them are. And by year 3, we had the idea to convert this to the True Spartan Challenge Alumni Edition. And a lot of those team reps we tapped into for the Alumni Edition. And basically what we do is we challenge our alumni. We put out rankings publicly of how many donors we have for each sport, year to date. And so the baseball guys can see how many soccer guys have given, the softball players can see the women's soccer, and they're competitive, they're athletes. That competitive spirit never goes away. So we put that out there. We use social media, and we've found it costs us almost nothing because we do it all by email and social media. And what we've done is we find influencers, those alumni that have great networks, and a bunch of them are our team reps now that are out there, where they'll make their gift, and we'll just shoot them a quick note, or I'll call them and say, hey, saw that you made your gift, or thinking you'll probably make your gift, or hope that you will. Would you mind posting on social media saying, hey, I've made my gift, now it's your turn, and tag all of the people that you connect with on social media? And it's been a really successful program for us. We went from 150 former student athletes making a gift before we started this to 300 in the first year, and we pushed up over 400 athletic alumni donors in year 2, and I think it's the kind of thing that will continue to build on itself.
Well, Craig, this sounds like an excellent idea, and it sounds like the idea is going excellently. I'm sure it's something that Kim wears with pride there as the athletics director. If she updates the president on, hey, here's what we're doing with our student athlete and our athletic alumni. And then for you, in terms of your interaction with student athletes, which I don't know how many people in development actually have interaction with student athletes, but your interaction with student athletes and actually giving something to them beyond just, their experience playing sports and getting an academic education, you're giving something to them that can help them down the lines in terms of other understanding, giving back to those who come before you. This is an excellent thing, Craig.
Thanks, Ty. No, I appreciate you saying that. And, it's also been something that we've used to share with other units on campus and, our other gift officers. Our alumni participation rate for former student athletes is almost 3 times as high as the general student population at UNCG. And so, as we've kind of shared the success with this program, it's an affinity-driven program, and that can be applied anywhere across campus. So we've started to try to help some of our other units as well to put something similar in place, not exactly, but using those same concepts.
That's excellent information, Craig. I think there's a lot in this conversation that people can probably study to try to implement at their own programs. I really appreciate you joining us here on One Question.
Thanks, Ty. Great to chat with you today.
That was Craig Fink. He's a Senior Associate Athletics Director for Advancement and Chief Revenue Officer at UNC Greensboro. And of course, this is Ty Brown with One Question. And keep in mind, the role of a leader is to create and maintain an environment that people want to be a part of. And as always, be better tomorrow than you are today. This episode of One Question is produced by Spades Media Group, solving problems using creative leadership.